I was at the park when the riot erupted.
Right.
I was 16 at the time. The reason I was there was because my church was having a food booth at the park because this was the Cinco de Mayo celebration. So we were using it as an opportunity to fundraise. My older brother was a Houston police officer at that time, and he was ultimately, I learned that he was part of the response to the park.
This is the area where my uncle Joe Campos Torres was eventually taken to and murdered over here by Buffalo Bayou in 1977. This is a location that's meant to now commemorate that story and the events that followed because of this tragic event.
An all-white jury in Huntsville, Texas, yesterday convicted Terry Denson and Stephen Orlando of negligent homicide, a misdemeanor, in the drowning of Joe Campos Torres, a 23-year-old laborer whose body was found floating in Buffalo Bayou in downtown Houston. Two policemen who were granted immunity from prosecution testified that Joe Torres was beaten by 5 officers after being arrested for disorderly conduct and was then pushed into the bayou.
The jailer instructed the officers to take my uncle to the hospital, at which point, instead of taking him to the hospital, they brought him back to this location where they further assaulted him and eventually threw him into Buffalo Bayou, where he was found down the bayou about 3 days later in 1977.
But because of my older brother, I remember feeling strongly about what was being said. Discussions like sellouts, or those types of phrases were being used against folks like my brother, Hispanics who were wearing the badge. And then when the time came that I would decide to become a Houston police officer, I remember that was a fundamental thought in the back of my head, that somewhere the department had deviated from its course to serve and protect all people from our city. And that somehow or another, a key segment of the community of which I happen to be with, felt that they couldn't trust that particular entity. And I felt compelled that maybe I could be a change agent in that regard. But also, when I have the opportunity to listen to the community and they have a different opinion, I have learned to make sure that I'm not turning a deaf ear to the community just because of my experiences or my career in law enforcement, to understand that maybe there is something we could be doing better. Hey, oh, Jamie.
I know.
God bless you. Good to see
I
you.
know.
Finally,
Yes.
we're here.
But we're not stopping.
No,
We're not stopping.
We got more to do.
We're not stopping.
We got
We're not
more
stopping.
to do. Mama Torres, we love you. And we have not forgotten you or your family. So in this role now, I've been able to build a stronger bridge with the family, and because they know that I never left them, and that the opportunity to bring dignity to the life of their son, their brother, their uncle, and to our community, the fact that we have finally been able to set the record straight.
My grandmother is very grateful for this happening, and I hope she gets to see a lot more of what's to come. 45 years is definitely a long time for them to live with that, to just now see this sort of recognition, you know, for what happened to my uncle. And it's a somber reminder of what happened, but it's also a definite beacon of hope. There's the younger generation that will hopefully come through and educate themselves, and people like Commissioner Garcia have always kept this story close to their heart wherever they went. In recent years, as we have been kind of brainstorming and trying to work different routes and how to do different things, and Commissioner Garcia has been one of them for the past few years. And you know, when we decided to really try to move forward with this project, you know, he was one of the ones that really spearheaded getting this going. Him along with some member Gallegos, you know, at the very initial beginning, you know, they just really kept it in there and trying to build momentum. It speaks to the fact that, you know, we can be on opposite ends of the spectrum but still have some sort of common goals, and to be able to be respectfully sitting at the same table can get a lot of great things done, you know.
We have a great deal of opportunity having that in our rearview mirror to know or to take it as a learned experience and do better. That's what I would encourage everyone to think about. We can do better. We should never ever let that happen again, and that we ought to be fortunate that we've been able to give that family the dignity and respect they have so long deserved.